Hi there. This is the video to teach you how to do the diaphragmatic breath or belly breath. Now, as a reminder, when you have adrenaline in the system and adrenaline has gotten dumped into your bloodstream because you've had a fear-based thought, something that makes you feel stressed, afraid, worried, will dump adrenaline into the bloodstream, and it dumps it in there so that you can fight or flight. Of course, most of the scenarios that we're dealing with do not require us running or fighting. It actually requires us re-regulating our systems or bringing our systems back down to a baseline that does not have a high level of adrenaline in it. In order to do that, we must do this belly breathing or the diaphragmatic breath. Now, this type of breath is very different from most of the breath that you use on a daily basis. Some of you who do yoga might have some experience with belly breath, but the rest of the population, usually you breathe into your chest, you don't breathe into your diaphragm. Let me remind you once again, when adrenaline is in your bloodstream, it will make you feel many different things. Your hands and your feet might get clammy or sweaty, and that's because the blood has been removed from the front of your extremities and brought, not entirely removed, but reduced and brought up to the heart and the lungs so that you can run or fight with the greatest amount of efficiency and proficiency. You might notice that you're not thinking very well. Your thoughts are frozen, you're not rational, you're not clear, you're confused, foggy, and that's because a lot of the blood and the oxygen that's in the neocortex, the thinking part of the brain, has been pulled back and brought down to the heart or lungs so that you can run or fight. Your pupils will dilate, your mouth will probably get dry, your immune system will go on total pause, complete and utter pause. And the reason why is because the immune system requires so much energy to function because it involves almost every organ that the body is wise enough to say, hey, we have to run or fight for just a minute, so let's put the immune system on pause. Of course, if you're having a stress response every day or multiple times a day, that means your immune system is chronically going on pause, and that is really, really bad for our health. And that is why stress makes us more susceptible to disease and illness and disorders. There's other things that happen when the adrenaline is in the bloodstream also. It will turn off your desire to eat until after the stressful incident is over and the body is re-regulated. Once it does, it will give you urges to go eat high fat, high calorie, high carb foods so that it can store a lot of energy for the next time it has to fight or flight. Now, if you notice what you want to eat at the end of a day, after a stressful day, or after a stressful incident, you'll see the connection between the stuff that you crave. It's because your body is physically asking you to do that. So once again, we want to have our adrenaline levels as low as possible so that we don't eat foods like that impulsively just as a reaction to the stress that we've had. That's what it ends up being called emotional eating, in part for that reason. So diaphragmatic breath or belly breathing. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to teach you how to do this, and every time you need to practice this, you could turn on this video but skip the part that I just did with all of the teaching and just get right to the breathing, which is at about 3 minutes and 40 seconds, okay? So diaphragmatic breathing requires not breathing into the chest, so put your hand here, I want you to feel that, and instead breathing into the belly. The diaphragm is a very large muscle that sits right below the lungs. And when we usually breathe, and particularly when you're having an anxiety attack, you notice you can't get breath in here. It's shallow, it's constricted. And that's a result of the adrenaline that you're having. But if we breathe into the diaphragm, first of all, there's lots of breath space there. And second of all, the muscle there is so big, that diaphragm is so big, that it actually will suck out the adrenaline from your bloodstream and re-regulate your system without having changed anything in your circumstance. But just by breathing with the diaphragm, you will begin to feel better, much better, very quickly. This is the easiest, safest, most portable tool and most underused tool for anxiety that's out there. It's so simple, and when you begin to master it, you'll see it makes a huge difference. So with one hand on your chest here, one hand on your belly. You can't necessarily see my belly, but it's right under. I have my hand right under my belt, excuse me, and I have it right on my belly, even though it's not exactly where the diaphragm is. It will do. And I'd like you to take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just notice what part of you actually moved. When you just take a normal breath, see, it's the chest that moves. Breathe out. It's the chest that moves. And if you're having an anxiety attack, you can't get breath in there. So instead, what we want you to do is begin to breathe in through the nose and breathe into the belly. And I'm going to ask you to imagine that the breath that you breathe in right now, you're going to breathe in through your nose, goes in through your body and actually travels down to where your belly is, and as if there's a balloon there. And it's going to fill the balloon up with this breath. And when you breathe out through the mouth, it's going to collapse again towards the spine, the balloon. Now, even if you are not doing proper belly breathing, meaning the breath is not, the diaphragm's not really moving at all, it doesn't matter. I still want you to push your belly out as if you have breathed in there, because that will give you the sensation of what it will be like once you finally get this right. And most people have a very difficult time with belly breathing in the beginning. Most people are not familiar with it and they don't use it. It took me a couple of weeks to get it because it feels a little backwards. And so it requires practice, and that's fine. Once you get it, it will be easy to use when you're driving, when you're talking to people on the phone, when you're having conversations with people right in front of you. You'll be able to breathe in this way without them even noticing it, which is what makes it such a great tool. Okay, again, hand here, hand on the belly. Now I want you to breathe in through your nose. And imagine filling up that belly like a big balloon with your breath. And now breathe out through your mouth, allowing the belly to sink back towards the spine, the balloon deflating. Another nice deep breath in through your nose. Great long exhale out through your mouth. Now, in large part, we're keeping our chest stationary. This isn't going to move too much because the breath is really filling with the diaphragm. It's being moved with the diaphragm. Again, another nice deep breath in through your nose. Keep this part stationary. Sink back again towards your spine. Now, why don't you go ahead and close your eyes, and we'll do 5 of these breaths, breathing into the belly. Big inhale in through the nose, belly inflates. Nice long exhale out through the mouth. Belly sinks back towards the spine. Let's do that again. Deep breath in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. Let the belly sink back towards the spine. Deep inhale in through the nose. Belly sinks back again towards the spine. Deep breath in through the nose. Belly now sinks back towards the spine, nice and slowly while you exhale. You might even notice a change in your body at this point. It can be subtle, or you might feel a tingling sensation as the oxygen has begun to move through your body again. Your body is re-regulating. Your body is coming back to a proper baseline for itself where it's not filled with adrenaline. Even if you didn't have a lot of stress before we began, you might notice that you feel more relaxed than you were just a few moments ago. If you don't, that's okay. After we finish the video, you can continue doing this breath for another 20 breaths. Sometimes all it takes is 1 or 2 breaths to re-regulate and reduce the adrenaline. Sometimes it takes 20 or 25 breaths, and that's fine. But you will most assuredly feel a difference. And if you feel unsure about this, keep watching the video, play it again, and make sure that you allow yourself to practice, because it does work and it always works. And if you can't get breath up here, you can always get breath down here. So we'll go back and we'll return to the reading and the Soul Cure for Anxiety when you're ready, and I look forward to meeting you there.